What if I told you that test prep and preparing for a standardized test doesn't have to be nearly as frustrating as it is today? Okay, you're like, okay, sure, you're gonna tell me that I'm here to tutor you. And it is true, I have over 20 years experience tutoring these tests. But that's not why I'm presenting this video for you today. I am presenting the fact that there's a tool out there that can really boost your learning and make things far less frustrating than they probably currently are. And it's a tool that's right at our fingertips. It's a tool you hear about all the time. What could I possibly be talking about? ChatGPT. And I'm gonna put the number 4 in there because 4 is much better than 3.5 when it comes to standardized tests. So what is it that ChatGPT 4 can do? Well, let's rewind a little bit. At some point in your life, you've probably had to take a standardized test. And as you know, it can be a super frustrating experience. Why? Well, there's always the test itself, but even the prep can be difficult. I mean, this pretty hard question, but you get the answer and you're pretty confident that's the right answer. You eliminate all the other ones. You go check out the answer key and what? You got it wrong? Huh. Well, let me check the explanation. At least that will give me some clarity and insight. And that is just the beginning of your problems. Because when you start reading through this long-winded explanation, you become more and more confused. You double down on your wrong answer and you think that the right answer is total hokum. So that is not a good result. And worse than that, you've spent a lot of your cognitive load, your brain power, trying to decipher this question, trying to decipher this explanation. And you go online now and you're reading more and more explanations, getting deeper and deeper into the thicket of this question. Next thing you know, 45 minutes have gone by. Now, this is very typical in students that I've seen. It's very typical that this even happens in our sessions sometimes. So if I'm tutoring a student, a lot of times I'm leading them out of a misconceptual jungle because they did a question, they read the explanation, they went online, they read more explanations, and they're more confused than ever. So it's like walking them back from this point. So what does that have to do with ChatGPT? Well, ChatGPT from the very get-go can provide a clear explanation and can help you understand any misconceptions that you might have so that you can really walk back your logic and learn to think like the actual test itself. No way. Is this really possible? Well, let me show you. So ChatGPT 4 and I put our heads together and we came up with this easy to follow list here on how to write your prompt because we wanted to make this as easy as possible. And we also want to make sure that you were getting the best possible feedback from ChatGPT. That said, even if this isn't perfect, you're going to get a pretty good response. So don't think, oh my God, all the pressure's on me. I have to write this perfect prompt or it's going to hallucinate or give me bad responses. Honestly, as long as you just tell it where you went wrong and why you thought the right or wrong answer was right and why you're doubting the right answer, that's going to get you a pretty good explanation. But here we're going to just take it up a level to make sure you get a very good explanation. So first off, state your level. You want to clarify where you're coming from. Are you brand new to the test? Or have you been doing this for a long time and you're actually pretty good at this section and you're surprised you missed this question? Whatever it might be, just give it that context because that will help ChatGPT really lay out the framework for your explanation. And remember, it's your explanation. It's tailored to you. Number 2, specify your response type. You might want to ask, and I recommend doing this, ChatGPT to provide a concise, clear, and tailored explanation. Even if you're advanced and you're falling into the camp where you usually get these questions right, it's just easier to follow this way. Of course, if for some reason you like a more nuanced and complex response type, then go ahead and just enter that into the second thing. Next, share your thinking. This is the most important part because this is where you're going to explain your rationale, your thought processes that led you to the wrong answer. This is really unlocking the power of ChatGPT and stepping inside your head and undoing those thought processes that aren't aligned with the way the test thinks. And ChatGPT is going to help you do that only if you are specific. And so that's why this step is so important. So explain why you chose the answer you did. What was your thought process behind that? And then if you have any doubts around the right answer, explain those doubts. Well, I doubt that D is the correct answer because of, and then elaborate, really put your thinking into the text box here. Finally, and this one's just kind of an added little step, if you are doing paper-based prep, as a lot of us still do, or a lot of people do when they're prepping for these tests, Google that question, enter maybe the first 5, 6, 7 words, and that question will come up online almost always. And then you can just copy and paste and put that into ChatGPT, which saves you a lot of time of trying to type some long passage or something. Don't do that. Okay, so we've now arrived via Googling the first 5 to 6 words at the question itself. This is a GMAT question that I Googled here, and it usually comes up in GMAT Club, so no surprises there. I copy and paste that. I move back to our ChatGPT window. But before I enter that in there, it's in copy and paste mode, so I just have to paste it. But before I do that, I go through here and I run through the steps, state my level. I'm relatively new to the GMAT, and I struggle with CR. CR is critical reasoning, this question type that I just looked up. Next, we're on to number 2, specify response type. Request a concise, clear, and tailored explanation. Well, I like that. That's what I'm going to go for. Please provide a concise. The Taylor part, I think this is pretty much implied in there. And then that really important part, share your thinking around what's going on. Why did you choose that answer? So I chose A because. Now I'm going to go back to this question really quickly. If you want to follow along, that's fine. Pause the video and kind of see what I'm reading. If not, that's fine. I'm just going to break this down pretty quickly. This is not that hard of a question to understand because it's about sandwich sales in fast food restaurants. That's part of the reason I chose it. So let's say I think that A is a good answer here because this is about them pulling this vegetarian sandwich and then something bad happens because it says which of the following, if true, most seriously weakens the argument. So why is it that they might not want to pull this vegetarian sandwich? So we look at A. Although many of the chain's customers have never tried the vegetarian sandwich, in a market survey, most who have tried it reported that they were very satisfied with it. Okay, I glom on or reach on to that. Very satisfied. I'm like, yeah, I chose A because if customers really like it, it's going to sell. So they should keep the vegetarian sandwich, right? My rationale, and that's all I really need to put. It doesn't have to be perfectly written. And the answer is D. Let's go back to D. It says when even one member of a group of diners is a vegetarian or has preference for low-fat food, the group tends to avoid restaurants that lack vegetarian or low-fat menu options. Well, I didn't choose this because I thought, well, we don't really know if these vegetarians are eating with non-vegetarians. Maybe their vegetarians are all eating in a group. I don't know. It didn't really seem like the answer to me. So it doesn't mean that I'm right or wrong. It's just the test is choosing that as the correct answer. So it's thinking in a certain way. And so I want to put my thoughts, my way of thinking in here so ChatGPT can have me kind of walk them back so I can think ultimately more like the test. So they should keep this sandwich. So let's put in here my thoughts on D. I didn't understand why D worked, why D is the answer, because I thought that vegetarians might not eat in large groups of non-vegetarians. And that's it. That's my rationale. Now, this is giving me quite a lot to work with. And finally, I'm going to paste in here the actual original question. And let's see what happens. This is the magic hour. Okay. Here comes ChatGPT working its magic. So argument, the vegetarian sandwich doesn't sell enough to cover costs, so the chain should drop it. Very succinctly put. We got the argument better than I did when I used a few more words in ChatGPT. Goal, find an answer that weakens the idea that the chain should drop the sandwich, right? We're finding an idea that makes us think, okay, well, it might actually be a good idea that they keep the sandwich. Okay. A, positive feedback doesn't guarantee increased sales. Satisfaction isn't the same as buying frequency. Now, this is A. This is the rationale that ChatGPT is providing me for my answer. And I thought that they were very satisfied, so they're going to come back and buy it. This is saying that Just because there's positive feedback, it doesn't increase sales. Just because someone is satisfied doesn't mean it has buying frequency. Okay. And then I look at D. This implies if there's even one vegetarian in a group, the entire group might go elsewhere if there's no vegetarian option. This could lead to lost sales. Okay, and I'm not totally sold because I've had this pushback to D, and there it is, your concern, my pushback. You thought vegetarians might not eat with large groups of non-vegetarians. The statement in D is not saying all vegetarians always eat, but when they do, it impacts the group's choice. So therefore, having them in the group is going to change the way the overall group reacts. And then there's a little bit more here. Even if the sandwich isn't selling a lot, its mere presence can influence larger group decisions, potentially bringing in more overall business. If the sandwich was dropped, the chain might lose more customers than just vegetarians. So now it's really gotten to my concern and addressed it. And I wonder, okay, well, I feel pretty good about that, but maybe there's something here that I wasn't quite 100% sold on. And let's copy and paste this. And I think, well, it says, but when they do, but how often do we know when they do? Answer B, how often do they eat? We should probably specify do vegetarians eat with non-vegetarians. Instead, I'll copy and paste that. I call ChatGPT you. Is that weird? I don't know. You said the statement in D is not saying all vegetarians always eat this non-vegetarians, but when they do, impacts their group sizes. I'm wondering about the frequency. So what does it say? I mean, I'm really getting down to that itty knowledge there, that specific point. Let's see what it says. The statement option D does not specify the frequency of vegetarians. It only provides information about the behavior of groups when there's at least one vegetarian. In reality, vegetarians often dine with non-vegetarians. However, the GMAT question doesn't delve into specific group frequency. Instead, it emphasizes the potential loss of a group of customers based on the preferences of one or a few individual groups. So this is giving me a lot of insight into the way the GMAT actually operates. And again, it's about walking back my thinking. The focus is on the influence of dietary preferences on group dining decisions rather than the frequency of such dining occurrences. And now I can say, okay, well, let me play it back. So you're saying that because vegetarian decision not to eat somewhere could influence larger group, this could lead to a drop in sales. Let's see, am I doing a good job of saying that? Exactly. If a group of diners, aha. So that's great. And it gives me, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but it gives me really this follow-up. And now what's happening here? What have I been doing with this back and forth? I have been pretending that there's actually a tutor here. I've been interacting at me, the student here, as though there's a super, perfect scoring GMAT person on the other end who's just answering all my questions like super quickly with the super typing speed, who's really patient and gives me all of this back and forth. And so this is an exchange. And this is an exchange that could only happen with a very, very good tutor. But it's an exchange here, which is a lot more affordable than an actual tutor. ChatGPT can go all night long if you want to, but most tutors will cap it out at 90 minutes or even 2 hours. I don't recommend you just keep asking the same question over and over again, but just this few back and forths are so invaluable. You're really getting there. And then as a bonus, what can you do? Well, check this out. I'm wondering if I really get the logic. Would I be able to do this again? Would I be able to apply this reasoning again? Great question, right? I mean, now can a tutor do this on the fly? Could you provide a similar question, but with a very different context? So it's not just the exact same thing with fast food or restaurants. That I can practice applying this logic. And this, let's see, what does this do? What can ChatGPT do? 3, I'm gonna wait, 2, 1, let's look. Here it is. Voila. In those few seconds, it has provided a question. Now, I've done this, I've used this quite a bit, and I think these questions are actually pretty good. In fact, oftentimes much better than some of the non-official material out there that people consume. So you're in pretty good hands here with ChatGPT. And now you can reapply this logic. See if you really make it stick. I'm not going to go through this, but if you want to, you can, pause here at the top, pause at the answer choices, and then look at the answer choices. Of course, come up with your own answer choice. Oh, wait, nope. It says, would you like to take a shot at answering the question? Oh, interesting. Again, a really back and forth vibe going on here, which is great. It's like having the best GMAT tutor on the other end, but it's just ChatGPT. So this is how I encourage people to use it. Again, in an ideal world, this person would answer the question. They might have a few follow-ups or reservations that, again, they'll address. And they're really fine-tuning their knowledge in this process, in this back and forth process. And this is why I think ChatGPT is going to be a game changer for anyone prepping for these tests.